Court calls the case, People versus Cassandra Wallach.
Ready to Judge Torshio Feaster, Assistant Public Defender on behalf of Ms. Wallach, who is approaching the podium. Please state your name for the record, ma'am.
Cassandra Wallach.
I am an equal opportunist, but in this case, this little girl is being done for assault upon her partner, and it's a him. She didn't punch or kick him, but slapped him, and this him was her fiancé, so I am thinking that her fiancé is Mickey Mouse.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Honor, today is the date and time set for bench trial. At this time, the people are ready to proceed. My understanding is that the defendant is going to be pleading guilty as charged under 769.48.
That is correct, Your Honor.
May I have her sworn?
I swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. State your name.
Ma'am, it is this court's understanding that you're going to be pleading guilty to the charge of domestic violence. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail, $500 fine plus court costs. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And understanding that, you still wish to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to that charge, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you on probation or parole?
I believe so.
Do you have any other cases?
No.
Okay. You're just on bond for this case.
For sure.
Sorry, Judge.
So that's a no.
That's a no, Judge.
All right. May 27, 2023, at the location of 2358 Twin Lakes Drive, Apartment, Michigan. What do you do on that date involving a Brody Salmon that makes you think that you're guilty?
Slapped him in the face.
Okay, you guys were having an argument of some type?
Yes, sir.
All right, you did that on purpose?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so it was done intentionally and on purpose, and obviously you did not have his permission to do that, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was your relationship with this individual?
He was my fiance.
All right. Counsel, have I complied with the court ruling? Would it be proper to accept this defendant's plea?
Yes, Judge.
Court will accept the defendant's plea of guilty to this charge. Defendant is referred to probation for a pre-sentence investigation and report. Okay? Young ladies, stop down the hallway. You'll see probation on your left, and stop in with them, please. Thank you.
Savannah Majernik, 24-553. We were here Tuesday. There was a plea of guilty to aggravated possession of drugs.
I selected this case for your viewing pleasure, as this chick has an unusual defense strategy. It's called stupid.
I referred it for a pre-sentence report on drug and alcohol evaluation, and then got word yesterday that you refused to write anything or talk to anybody.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that?
So, and the way I look at it is like you gave me a chance before, and I proved you absolutely right. And I opened this door again, and I'm just honestly, genuinely not ready. And so, like, I don't want to waste your time again, my time, her time, anybody else's time. And I'm at a spot where, like, you gave me chance after chance after chance, and I kept proving you right. You tried to tell me about myself, like, and I'm not ready, Judge.
Okay, well, it's not an unusual story. People are given multiple chances and don't do what they're supposed to do. So if I do what you want me to do, okay, then there's no chance it's ever going to end, right? So there have been people, and I didn't send you to prison last time. I just gave you some more time in jail and ended your probation. And the reason that I did that instead of sending you to prison, okay, is because you didn't belong in prison. What were the circumstances of this? I don't know anything about the case. I usually don't find anything out about the case until I read the pre-sentence report because I get access to the police report. So what happened in this case with the charge? How did you get charged?
So the boyfriend at the time that I had, he was driving me to work, and the license plate had been, like, expired. Well, then come to find out, he was driving under suspension, so, like, clearly that is like probable cause to search us. And he ended up telling me that he had some speed in his bag. So him just getting out of prison, in my eyes, I was like, I didn't really want him to go back to prison. So I copped out to it. And around that time, like I had been sober, but at that time I realized like I just made this stupid decision, like I'm going to jail anyways, so why not let's get high? Which is a stupid decision, I know that. But it was like, it was an abusive relationship. So like I was more so scared of, okay, if I let him go back down, if he goes to jail and, you know, he eventually gets out, like what's going to happen to me? So I made that irrational decision and I kind of just, I fell loose with it and I dragged it on longer than it needed to be. And I ended up screwing
When was
up.
this?
Huh?
When was this?
May, I think. May, right?
Okay, April, okay.
April.
13, okay. So how long had you been sober before that?
Since the last time I was in jail and the last time you've seen me.
Okay, and that was like June, wasn't it?
June to October. So all the way to that April, I had been sober, and when I got that case, I said, screw it.
I've got some 52, 53-year-old woman who comes in here about once a month, who I've had on probation in one way or another since probably 2017. She's got diagnosed bipolar disorder and has been addicted to crack cocaine for probably going back 30 years. And since I've had her on probation, she's probably violated with new offenses 2 or 3 times. She'll go for periods of time where she doesn't use, then she'll stop taking her mental health meds, and that will cause a spiral, and then she'll start using. And she'll go for periods of time without doing it. Now she's been probably about 2 years without doing it, which is the longest stretch she's ever had. So the theory is, right, with a lot of people, is that once you violate probation, then the only penalty is you should just go to prison. And if you're on probation and you violate, then you should go to prison, which is almost never the answer, because very few people go to prison and then figure out. I just had a guy in here yesterday who was 32 years old, who out of his 14 adult years has spent 9.5 years in prison of that time. And I sent him last time when he came back again committing another crime. And I put him back on probation. He's violated twice. He was in here yesterday. And so the time that he has spent in prison didn't wake him up. Okay. Some people it does. I've sent people to prison and they've gotten out and have been fine, okay, because they figured something out. All right. So the answer is not, since you didn't do it before and you didn't prove me wrong, is that, well, then I just got to do my time, get out. If I keep doing it, I keep doing it. If I get caught, do my time, get out. You're 24 years old, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to complete the pre-sentence report, complete the evaluation, come back, and we'll figure out what's the best thing to do with you.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
So they're going to send you that paperwork again and interview you, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Calls the case, People versus Deshaun McFarland.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sam Bernstein with on behalf of Mr. McFarland. Sir, what's your name for the court?
McFarland.
In this case, Your Honor, we're asking the court to please set for exam. Discovery should be complete.
Your Honor, there is one matter in the book.
Of course you would. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I do want to note that there have been no calls directly to the victim. However, I do have notes that, and I did notify Mr. Bernstein of this, as well as request to have the jail clothes released to him, that the defendant has been talking to his grandmother and informing and instructing her to contact the victim about dropping the PPO. I am extremely concerned. This is not an isolated phone call, but it seems to be repetitive and continuous and come up in multiple conversations. As a result, I also want to follow up and say that it does appear that the victim was contacted by the grandmother, according to later conversations, and that she said she would not be dropping the PPO. She wants to keep it in place for a year and see how he does.
So we know that not only is this clown a low life that can't control his temper and bashes his partner, but he's also the type of scab to call his ex's grandmother and beg her to pressure his ex to drop the charges. I think it's bizarre how females can even date these losers in the first place.
But at this point, it's not just a request for indirect contact, it is successful indirect contact. I would be requesting her his phone number.
Well, it certainly hurts the bond argument that I was planning on making today, Your Honor. I don't have a response. Not a big deal.
Well, I'll just say this. I'm a bit concerned that the contact was made and that the contact that's made is of a nature that is obstructive. It wasn't just, hi, how you doing? That concerns me. So two things are going to happen here. Defendant's phone privileges are hereby ordered revoked. Defendant's bond is also increased to $200,000 cash surety.
That is what we call justice.
If you are new to my channel, please subscribe as I edit these cases and remove all of the mundane, boring, repetitive stuff. And I even remove the silences, so you get only the juicy bits, which I think are always the best bits. Are looking for another episode that has all the boring stuff cut out and gives you just the good stuff, then here a couple that may interest you. Enjoy.